All right. Happy Tuesday. Feel free to fast forward if you're watching the replay. This is going to be a very short episode. I'm going to do something different today just to have fun. And I hope you can hear me. Forty seconds. Thirty seconds.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
10, 9, 8, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, how would you make 500K in revenues? In lieu of our intro, a short poem all infuse, a little bit of blues with David's business views. His story has clues, transformed from consulting to-dos into software debut. So please help me welcome a friend and a business muse, Hacker Noon CEO, Mr. David Smooke, sharing his news and breakthroughs. Let's go. So publishing to SaaS. So you went from a publishing company to software as a service. Walk us through like your thinking about your business model. I know that in the beginning you were doing some freelancing, some consulting. I referred a few clients to you a long time ago. You went from that model to software as a service. Take it away.
Well, I don't know. We're definitely a software company, but a lot of our revenue with ad buys is still like can be 3 or 6 months as opposed to like the traditional like, hey, this is how much it costs for the year type of deal. We do have some people that do it that way. I mean, the very first big package we called it the weekly sponsorship package. And what we did was we put everything we could give you. And we said, hey, you'll get ads, you'll be atop our site. We'll republish some of your content as a brand as author. And we said all the numbers you would get. And we put it at weeklysponsor.com. And then at the bottom, we put a bid number. And we emailed it to everyone.
Wow.
and we said, do you or your, people want to buy it? And we just had this one page with everything you had, and we got people to bid. And that's kind of how we got our first group of customers. And that was it, as before we could divide it. It's just like buy the house. And sometimes people would buy the house for $25,000 in a week, and sometimes they buy it for $4,000. It just depended. In the early days, it's like, who wants this? So the weeks could fluctuate greatly. So it wasn't, the perfect package, but that was our first group of sponsors that, got to our first $100,000. I mean, now we've tripled revenue 3 years in a row, 18, 19, and 20. And then this quarter, we almost got to our full revenue for last year. So we just missed it. But, if we were able to do that every quarter, that's going to be the highest growth year we've had. So we'll see how the rest of the year plays out. But I mean, what was good about that early beginning one, it's just like, what is the maximum impressions and clicks I can get you in what time frame? And just being honest and upfront about that, about what range we expect. And then we just say, how much is that worth to you? It's not something that like, more like type A type of person or a more like forward leading person could have been a little bit like, no, this is how much valuable it is. Someone else paid for it. You have to come pay that for it. But we just took much more of the model of like, here's everything we can give you. Tell us what it's worth to you. And then if you're close, you can that at that point they've priced and they've anchored themselves a little bit. So you kind of like someone that can pay 10 for something can probably pay 15. So there's an element of like, it's not necessarily like locking in their bid. But now as we're a little, older and more mature and we have more existing prices, it's like we can kind of package stuff together and give people custom quotes as you go towards like, because with the model I described, it worked well for like, 4 digits deals, not great for 5 and not great for 6. So it depends how many customers you can serve at a time. If you want to get to 100 with that model, you need a good bit of customers.
So is it a month to month? Because bidding, I'm thinking, okay, I want to purchase this spot for 3 to 6 weeks, and it's not really an MRR model. It's an entire ticket price for 6 months.
Yeah, so it's much more large deals, but we do have, in terms of publishing content, people paying us every month like that and saying, hey, we're just going to republish 3 posts a month. Let's set that up for the year. And have the content just come in, publish, and move on. I mean, so now the sponsor, really all the larger meetings are still kind of one-off. We're going to build more for like brand login and more like what is your brand around the web? Like we built tech company news pages. So you would actually like this from the Yelp model. I don't know if I told you about this, but we built a page that it uses the Bing API. It searches stories about the brand from around the web, stories about the brand and their technologies on Hacker Noon, and gives some base information of the company with the big picture API is what it's called. But it's just essentially employee count, a lot like, the base info of LinkedIn and Crunchbase. But I mean, Yelp did the same thing. And now the idea is claim your page. Yeah. So for us, if you want to put your blog post atop this page, you can publish a blog post with us and claim your page. So we're kind of having our next little flow of inbound campaigns here is people claiming pages. And this strategy works so well for Yelp. I mean, you probably saw it firsthand, but it's like, oh my gosh, there's a page about my restaurant on the internet. I have to claim it. I got to control what they say about it.
No, they were pissed off. It's the opposite. What the F? I got this. I didn't give you permission for my... You got to remember, this is back in 2000s, right? 2007. So people are a lot more private back then. But now is a different story because you're working with brands. And so brands, they need to build a good, engaging brand. I was on Instagram. I got tagged by Shar. She wanted to win something. And so we all started engaging in this post. And at the end of it, 2 days later, she didn't win, of course, but we had the most engagement, like our group of people. At the end of it, I was like, these guys didn't even engage with us. Like, we're engaging with each other. Like, that's the worst type of brand ever, Don't ask us to tag our friends to win this, I don't know, I think it was a booty band or something. and, and then don't respond to all of our comments about the booty band.
Should I know what a booty band is?
It's basically this band that you put around your thighs and then you squat. I don't know. I've never tried it. I saw it on Instagram, but pretty cool. So that's their business model. Lame brand. So how do you? This has got to do with not the crowdfunding, but generating revenue, getting to a 500K. So you almost hit it. Why do you think you did it? What caused that?
I mean, it's the ground up of more brands wanting to publish on our site, and because that's an unlimited good almost, and we can publish a lot of stories, so that kind of just snowballs and that builds up over time. But as well as getting large customers to want to lock in early, and I do think there was at post-election and not having this ambiguity around 45 and what rules you're going to do. I saw a boom in tech companies wanting to purchase, and you see tech company stocks are doing. If you look at since the end of last year to now as a whole, they're doing great, and these people want to buy. And I think there was a bit of a there's also a beginning of the year willingness to buy, of opening up a new budget and trying to plan for your whole year, and everyone hey, I want to be successful in my buys. So there's those two things, and then the third one kind of came out of nowhere. But we opened a new revenue stream for writing contests. So essentially, if you write a story on Hacker Noon with the tag decentralized internet, Freeton, a blockchain, is going to be giving rewards to the best stories on the tag. And so they're paying us to run the competition, and then they're paying our contributors to write great content that may or may not mention them. So this is kind of like a very good top of funnel because now we're actually part of the content creation with the brands. It's not just bring in the content you have. It's, hey, we're going to put your brand next to this new type of content. We're going to get people talking about the subject matter that is interesting to both, or where our audiences overlap. So that those have been going pretty well. And we have Wix and Freeton are the first two, and we'll have a few more coming up. And I mean, we have a good relationship with our writers of editing and distribution, and they own their content. They just license it to us for editing and distribution and validation. So kind of getting a few, lump sum payments just randomly appearing to people in the community, but not really random, because it means they had one of the most high traffic things on the tag. They were voted by the Hacker Noon editors out of the high traffic ones. So there's a bit of a process around it, but it is fun, to just people that would do this for free suddenly getting $1,500 checks or $500 checks. And that's a pretty cool thing that hopefully we can do more of. That's kind of been the new growth of this year that we didn't even plan for. In December, I didn't even know we were going to do this. It just kind of stumbled into a Slack discussion, and suddenly people wanted to pay for it. And once people want to pay for it, it's easier to say, okay, I pay people to do it. Whenever it's just your bet of what could grow, it always feels more expensive. Once the client is already paying for it up front, yeah, I'm going to pay to make it successful and run it because we already have the money in. There's the pressure is off.
So that's kind of how you overcame the biggest failure of not hitting your goal, which is more engagement and reward, and slogging.
and slogging.
But it's so clever, and I've never really seen the New York Times or Forbes, they don't engage with their writers as much. They just let them publish, and they don't have this co-creating, unless there is, but I'm not aware of it. Are you? They don't have that kind of relationship with their readers.
The New York Times, they're an amazing subscription business. They have such an old established brand. Their problem isn't empowering writers. Their problem is getting enough content, and that's why they have so many staff writers, and they're telling people what to write about. It's just such a different approach than what we're saying. Hey, if you write about that, you could get a reward. But really, if it's just anything good about technology, it'll help any software developer, founder, or cryptocurrency enthusiast. It's just anything about the history of the internet. That stuff's all kind of welcome here as long as the quality is good, and just being that barrier for quality control is our relationship with our readers. And I mean, the New York Times, a lot of times, I think people aren't that surprised by what they're covering. When they subscribe to the New York Times, they know, what they're going to get. And I've been following the Substack, growth pretty closely, and it's pretty cool. Like, I think that they definitely have problems, but this idea that a New York Times writer and a Substack newsletter could make the same amount of money in a year is pretty cool. And then you can either choose, do I want to be that one or this one? So as that gets closer to like a choice for everybody, because it's still not. The people that are doing well over there, they have their own media brands. And literally, they're just, instead of sending, their whatever newsletter it was before, they call it something new and it's powered by Substack. They already had the audience. They were just waiting to pay them. So there's still that gap of like, how do you get your early subscribers? Because like a lot of times these writers, they're writing for the publication and all the traffic's coming from the publication or the site. And it's not, if the traffic was already coming directly from the writer's community, the writer would have their own business and not need any distribution channels. So there's a lot of trade-offs, but it is, I think it's a pretty good time to be in digital publishing. It's just lots of innovative stuff coming up. The demand to read more and write more is just so high, and everyone's been stuck at home for a while trying to learn stuff.
Right.
What can I learn today? What can I learn today? Like, that's pretty insatiable. The other one I've been a little bullish on, potentially silver linings of the pandemic, is the downfall of large universities and these overpriced tuitions, and like HackerNoon being a small part of that, of like, hey, there should be many sites with so much free education and content. Right. And the free code camps of the world are like, they're great. With a smile on their face, they're giving you better content than the $50,000 check.
Yeah.
To these universities.
80, some 120.
Is that what it is these days? I'm a bit out of touch.
It's been so long. You were talking about getting to 300 to 400 brands at HackerNoon, as in these are your advertisers. How did you get to your first 10 brands?
It was emailing that thing I told you with the weekly sponsorship. Yeah, so just emailing our entire...
I'm curious. This can be a product of its own. Yeah?
Yeah, I think you can maybe... I think I put it at weeklysponsor.com. It may still be sitting out there as old numbers. I forget. Yeah, that's one of the... What's cool about making a software company is the products within a product. And so I do want to split out, like right now our content management system as a whole isn't mature enough, in my opinion, to build like 100 sites from it. But there are little pieces of publishing technology that we're kind of putting out. And one of them was slogging, and it's because we wanted to publish our Slack threads on HackerNoon, and like taking screenshots of them feel pretty like idiotic. So we built a little app that can turn any slog thread into a HackerNoon draft. And now that's something that we're just using with HackerNoon writers right now, but it's something a brand could use to make more engaged content. It's something a data science community could use to highlight the best voices and get them out there. And it's just a little piece of software, we built for ourselves. So I'm hopeful like we can do more stuff like that because it's fun. Like we have a pixelated GIF maker coming out that's kind of goofy, that was made out of a hack week, and we made like Nooney's voting software, and now we have this voting software where we're going to try voting on other things other than just like best writer. So that stuff is pretty fun. Of like, can you reuse a business asset? Can your electric car also like make money as an Uber driver? That's like a cool thing. Our own little versions of it.
Okay, I want to break down this bidding war that you create with an email. What is the format of that email? And how do you send it out? Who do you send it out to? Is there a timeline? Is there a countdown? Walk me through that.
There's also like great ideas. I mean, lately we've been doing more of the ground up of people that want to publish with us already and kind of do custom deals with them. The bidding system was more effective when we had less customers. Because it either needed to be developed and refined, where you can not bid on because it worked well because we listed everything we had and it was one bid. So it's one good, one bid, and that you're just trying to drive email traffic to it and one-on-one. And like versus if we have, like now we have many offerings. So building like a complex bidding system, I haven't prioritized, but it's definitely viable. It's a good way to it's a good way to get what you want. Like you already want it and you bid on it. But really the early day, it was our main newsletter would be exactly the same, but at the top it would say new weekly sponsor, bid now, or something very simple. Because it was like, hey, give you what you already wanted. You wanted your tech stories. That's why you opened this newsletter. So don't try to add for your offering. Click to your offering, and then hopefully, they bid there, and you get some percentage.
So they would go to a landing page, and then they would start putting in their credit card, or did they just?
No, so this was a non-binding bid. So really, I just wanted their contact and their rough dollar amount, and I think I asked one other thing, maybe something about who you are or what's interesting about your offerings. So I tried to keep the field very, 4 or 5 fields on the form, very small. In general, forms usually have too many fields. Right. Usually you can get that information later. What I really need to know is like, are you legit? So you look at their work email. That pretty much tells you right away.
A phone number.
And then, what's your budget? And if you know those 2 things, like we can tell if we can work together or not.
There you have it. Wow, we've covered a lot. I'm so excited. And thank you so much for your time. David, I don't know whether to call you David or Smooke because I'm so used to Smooke. I'm still okay with Smooke, right?
Yeah, looks good.
All right, so please, one more time, tell our audience where to find you and how to connect with you and how to advertising on HackerNoon.
So advertising on HackerNoon, sponsor.hackernoon.com, or just go to hackernoon.com and click the advertising button at the top. You can see different options there. Anyone can also tell their tech story on HackerNoon. So that's just, you click the start writing button or visit publish.hackernoon.com. Founder stories, sales stories. We have a pretty big library. And you can find me on the internet, David Smooke. That's me. Yeah, .net.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, David.
See you, Zed.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Becoming a successful entrepreneur isn't easy, but it's not impossible. Subscribe to my channel today, and together, let's figure out how to grow.